Hi, this is Samir Desai, founder Seagull Advertising. It's a pleasure to invite you to our podcast, Dreamers to Doers. Dreamers to Doers is not just a business show. It's a coffee conversation with entrepreneurs who've started on their journey, have stumbled, have again got up, and now are taking their next step. Today we have somebody interesting. We have Malhar, who himself is not the founder. His father was the founder 50 years ago. But Malhar, with a diverse and huge experience in the United States, has now come back to join the family business and take it on a new path. Welcome, Malhar, to Dreamers to Doers.
Hi, Samir. Thanks for having me.
So, Malhar, you're a very interesting story. So, before I come to you, I'd just like to understand how did your father get to start SBEM, an engineering company?
So, my father is an IIT Bombay graduate from the late 60s, early 70s. He worked in a company called Philips Semiconductors back in the early 70s for a couple of years.
Okay.
And while working there, he found there was a small gap that existed in the Indian market. There was a lot of movement going on in infrastructure, in power plants, in cement plants, things like that. And there were no companies in India that were actually making or manufacturing instruments that go into those plants. So, he decided to take the plunge and start developing, copying, the Emersons and the MNCs of the world, copy their products and start supplying Indian-made products to those organizations. And I think over the years now, we have morphed into, the bigger organization, the more technology-oriented organization that we are today.
So, just for clarity, what is it that you'll actually make at the product level?
Sure. So SBEM is a sensor manufacturing company, and when I say sensors, we are the company that designs, develops, and manufactures level gauging instruments, whether they are mechanical based, whether they are electronic based, whether they are non-contact or contact based. We manufacture flow measuring instruments and pressure measuring instruments. Now, so for more clarity, what are the applications? The applications, in today's day and age, is basically your water distribution plants, right? Okay. So you have water that gets, taken in from sources like rivers. You need to know what the level of the river is. You need to know how much water was taken out from the river. They are then supplied to water treatment plants. You need to understand how much water was treated and how much water was supplied back to the city. Okay. You want to then understand at the distribution level, what is the consumption of water. Mm-hmm. So because water is a big, resource, and the government is investing heavily into making sure everybody gets water. That's what the applications of the instruments are. Water is not the only one. There's also a lot of applications in the industries. So, in industries like coal plants, right? You have coal bunkers where coal is generated and stored in bunkers. You need to know what is the level of the coal that is stored in a bunker so that you can do some sort of estimation. So, anything that requires any sort of measurement in the industry or in, your infrastructure, those are the kind of instruments that SBEM manufactures.
So just to quickly understand, and your father's been doing this for 50 plus years. Correct. You just celebrated 50 years.
Correct.
How has been the journey from what you can recollect? In other words, has it been a bed of roses or has it been...
It's not been a bed of roses. Okay. So, back in the 70s to the 90s, it was a trajectory going up. 90s was, we did a lot of work for power plants, and we were, very focused and concentrated on one segment only. Mm-hmm. And the power industry sort of kind of collapsed in the late 90s. Uh-huh. We went through a pretty bad patch back then. My father and his partner at that point, they decided to part ways. Okay. So that was another thing that happened, back then. And then my father then started diversifying from saying, okay, not just doing power plants, let's get into other technologies. Primarily, earlier we were doing level, then we diversified into flow. We've now diversified into pressure.
Okay.
And now, we are looking at, taking all these instruments and making them IoT. But anyway, to answer your question, it's not been easy.
It's not been easy.
It's not been easy.
So I understand, Malhar, that you're an engineer, went to the United States, did your master's, and then worked there for many years. Correct. But your brother chose, who's also an engineer, chose to stay back with your father, and he's been on the operation side, engineering side, been doing this.
Correct.
So let me understand somebody like you with a good career, in the United States. You've come back to join the family business. And if I understand correctly, your role is on the marketing, sales, branding side.
Correct.
So my question to you, because this is a podcast which looks at branding and brand launches. Yeah. And many people think that engineering probably doesn't need any marketing or branding. What's your view and why are you working with Seagull? What is your expectation?
Okay. So you're right. Why did I come back? To give you a short answer, I've always wanted to work with the family business.
Okay.
Being in the US was supposed to be a short-term plan. When I went there, was supposed to be educate myself, work a little bit, get some exposure to how things work differently all over the world, and then come back. Life got in the middle.
Okay.
And then, 22 years later, we finally made a choice that, we want to come back and work with the business. Now, branding, marketing is extremely important in today's day and age. If you don't have a name in the market, nobody's even going to come to you with an inquiry, right? Okay. I might have the hottest technology, I might have everything great, but nobody knows what I do. I'm not going to be able to sell it. I mean, it's as simple as that. So what I liked about working with Seagull when I met you, walking with our dogs on the street. Yeah. That's how we met. We started talking, we connected. And I think over the last year, it's been a fun ride working with Seagull. Look at how you helped us with, developing a brand guideline, developing our tagline, changing it from, we were just a partner, our tagline used to be partner for level and flow, and you guys came in and said, no, you are a measurement company, so you should be more measurement based.
Yeah.
So these ideas are all, very new, very fresh, and it's giving SBEM a whole new look and feel.
Okay.
So I think that's where I think Seagull and us are working well together to take SBEM to the next level.
Okay, just to understand, as an engineering company, and there are many engineering companies, either the initial stages or probably somewhere in their life cycle. What does branding mean to an engineering company?
We are trying to in today's day and age, we are trying to compete with everybody in the world, right? Okay. If you look at companies like Apple, if you look at companies like Samsung, everybody knows their name, not just because they're an engineering company, but they have a very good presence in the market. It's brand conscious, right? Okay. People buy brands, people trust brands.
Okay.
Right? SBEM has the greatest technology in the world. We might be better than even the biggest MNCs, but people don't trust us. Okay. So building brand starts building some sort of trust. There is a figure, there is a entity behind the organization, which I think is important for an organization, as even an engineering organization. Okay. And that to me is the brand image.
So Malhar, just try to put it in a few words which may probably state what you're saying. So what you're saying, for you, branding means that people should first know about your brand.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously we started working on your website. The next thing is you've been participating in exhibitions, and you made a calendar for participating in exhibitions, so that you're out there and people can see SBEM, can see the products, and you also have your team who can explain applications of that kind. The third thing, what I understand, is the social media part, okay, where we again need to put forth whether it's our products, whether it's our team, whether it's our customers, our applications, and this story needs to start going out. So I think it's this mix, right? When you talk about branding for an engineering.
That's true.
Yeah. And while you're doing this, I can see a lot of things. When you just celebrated your 50th year, you've also done multiple collaterals. Wherein there's a logo to celebrate the 50 years. You'll have made certain jackets, you've made diaries, and clearly this is a kind of communication, both internal and external, of the path that you're taking ahead.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, you've come in with global, kind of a global perspective. What I understand is you've also been visiting both the US as well as China. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in your mind, you probably have a direction for the next few years. Mm-hmm. So what is the direction you see for SBEM taking forward?
So I think SBEM so far has been very focused on the Indian market, and rightly so, because we wanted to prove our products well, working well, have no issues in the field in India. And we're at that point where now we see that we can take those same products outside of India.
Okay.
So the next couple of years, secondly, within India also, we focused primarily on a particular segment, but we wanted to start moving in different segments, right? Because there are multiple segments available for the same instrument. So it's a two-pronged strategy. One is expand growth in India in the non-water segment, so process industry segment, and also expand our water footprint internationally. Now, whether that's Southeast Asia, Middle East, Europe, US, that's for the product side. There's also another view that we have, which is, India has always done software services as a business for the last 20-25 years. And I think China has done a lot of manufacturing services. And now with this turmoil happening all over the world, I think there's an opportunity for companies like SBEM to also do manufacturing for the Western or the developed nations where manufacturing doesn't exist. To say, as a part of your China Plus One strategy, please come work with us, because we can give you the same sort of output.
So Malhar, just 2 points I want to bring out from a perspective earlier when your father started the business and he was making certain kind of meters, measurement meters, right? And then when there was a difficult time, you chose a few more industries. Just to put it is, the minute you start looking at yourself, not at a product level of meters, but look at more at a, if I can say, from an emotional angle to measurement, and like we've done a branding idea which says reliability beyond measure. So what you're offering really is a trust.
Yes.
Yeah. And to back that, you also have local competition.
Yes.
Which is importing things probably from China or some other places. Whereas at SBM, you have research, you have design, you have manufacture, you have installation, and you also have post-installation service. I think it's more like an unwritten commitment for even probably 10 plus years, where SBM stands with any kind of installation, right? So it's just not a product that you're selling. Yeah, it's the reliability that you offer as a company. So is that something that's important for engineering companies who are just thinking at a product level, that they need to think at a solution or a service level?
So you bring up a good point. Is yes, product is one, service is another. But I think the bigger thing to look at is the solution, right? What is the pain point for the customer? Even when we decide to build something new or we decide to put a lineup, we basically say we want this, but we don't really understand what goes into it.
Correct.
Similarly, for the customer, when they says they want to build something and they need instruments, right? They don't really understand. I don't want to say they don't understand, but they are not experts at the instruments, what they're supposed to be used for, what their capabilities are.
Okay.
So we do provide, full solutions,
okay,
which we can give to the customer, and then backed by that is, I think, one of our strong points is we have one of the best service teams in the Indian market, and we've got a lot of testimonials from customers on that yes, if there is ever a problem with your device, your service team is there helping the customer out solve the problem. Because eventually our motto is, we don't just provide the product and walk away. We got to get that system to work and help the customer's project be a success. That is what we consider a success.
So if I get this right, for people out there who are seeing this and actually hearing you, it's not just about trading that's the business, right? No. That could be short term.
Yeah.
It's not about just being the lowest priced product.
Correct.
Yeah. What really matters, and you've got a 50-year track record, and obviously the way I see you, and you've come back from a lucrative career and joined the family business, is that you definitely see another 50 years ahead.
Absolutely.
So there's a phenomenal opportunity, but that is going to happen because of the service and the solution that you provide.
Correct.
And the pride that you take in saying that we are probably the best service providers in India, even competing with large multinational companies, and still saying that my service stands apart.
Correct.
That means a lot, right, to your customers?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. The second thing I picked up from what you've said is, and which I'm seeing with some other companies also I'm working with, it's no longer enough to be just geographically restrained or focused on only India.
Correct.
Yeah. I think with the world becoming global, of course, and there are many things happening in the world now, but the importance of being a global company and reaching out to customers in different parts of the world is extremely important as you move into the future. Is that right?
That is right. India is probably, the counter to that is India is also a very, very big market, right?
Okay.
India is one of the, for the instruments or for the business that we are in, India is one of the biggest markets in the world today.
Okay, fantastic.
So a lot of the MNCs are actually coming into India, buying Indian companies,
Okay.
Establishing stuff in here, right? But like you said, is India is also a very price-sensitive market.
Okay.
So that's where we stand an edge in India in terms of we are not as expensive as the MNCs.
MNC, yeah.
Right? We're a tad below them, but we have much better service than the MNCs.
Correct.
Right? So that's where we stand. When it comes to global, yes, we have to make ourselves felt in the present in the global, because that impacts even our India customers.
I was just going to add a point there, Malhar. We as probably as Indians, we are getting there, but we still feel that probably a German company
Correct.
is a better company than an Indian company.
Unfortunately.
So, if you have a few case studies, even they may not be from a business angle, but if you have a few installations, few clients, few solutions in global countries,
Correct.
that might even help you when you're pitching to an Indian business out
Absolutely.
here. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's the whole idea behind the export as well. Is yes, the market is huge. Let the companies from there service that market. But yes, if you have a few case studies, success stories,
Then you start being seen as a global brand.
Exactly.
So global brand solutions, which is known for reliability, that is which comes from your service, that would be the kind of brand that you're building forward.
Absolutely.
Great, Malhar. But I just want to ask you, as we kind of end to this particular show, is there are younger engineering companies. We are working with companies which are in auto components. We have other companies which are into casting. Yeah. What is your message to entrepreneurs who are in the engineering space? Yeah. As they go about growing their business.
So I think one of the topmost things in my mind is quality, right?
Okay.
Do not compromise your quality when you are providing services to your customers.
Okay.
It might be you might think sacrificing quality for price is a good thing in the short term, but in the long term it will not work.
Okay.
Right. Second thing for me, which is very important, is development of technology in India. Right. I think one of the things is what China has done and what I have seen is they've learned a lot from the West in the last 20 years, and now they are today competing with countries like America. So start doing technology, not just software, but hardware, mechanical, electronics.
Okay.
Start developing that talent in the country and focus on that. So those are my two big things for India: is become a technology leader and focus on quality. Okay. Everything else will follow.
Okay. So great. Thank you so much. To all the entrepreneurs out there, this is one more interesting conversation. An engineering company going about building a global brand. So if any one of you out there is a little bit hesitant, feels that this particular journey of either building a brand, building quality products, or going global is difficult, I hope this particular conversation helped. So till next time, on our next episode of Dreamers to Doers, signing off. Thank you.